Welcome back and thank you for staying with eNCA. Now, the fallout continues after former Eskom CEO Ruyter made corruption allegations against ANC ministers and advisors to the president. The ANC wants him to produce evidence or face legal action. Let's also get some reaction now from one of the committees that has an oversight task at Eskom. We speak to Chairperson of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources and Energy, Sahlulele Luzipo. Chair, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA. Let's start firstly with the freshest news around Eskom, the appointment of Mr. Kasim as interim CEO. What do you think about that?
Well, good morning to you and the viewership. I think the first thing we must say is that we wish the new interim CEO all the best in these challenging times. I think we don't have, or I must speak for myself, I don't have any track record of him. It will be difficult to make a judgment call because that judgment call must be informed by that track record. But I hope you will rise to the occasion, especially when you've got challenges. But my theory is quite simple. It's better to inherit something that is so bad and succeed to put it back than to inherit something that is so good that you only have to do one thing, keep it at that level. So for me, I think he has got an opportunity to prove that this is not a sinking ship. Any leader and any person who's given a responsibility to lead, first thing you must have is fear of failure. You must fear failure because if you don't fear failure, then you don't take responsibility for whatever wrong actions or decisions. You must be prepared to make mistakes and errors, but it must be demonstrated in the commitment that that individual has.
Well, you say you don't know much about his history and credentials. We found out that he is, for instance, a CASA, but also he is the CFO of Eskom, and he serves as CFO during the tenure as well of Ruyter. So many people would ask what difference he's going to make that he couldn't make as CFO during Ruyter's tenure.
Look, I'm not here to defend him. All that I'm saying is that in terms of that track record, you'll remember this is someone, in as much as that position is very high in terms of management capacity, but he has never been an accounting officer. That's point one. Point two, I think, let's give him a chance to exactly do what you say. I think it will be wrong to blame, especially CFO. Remember, some of us belong to an organization where it is easy to take decisions, but those decisions, when we take them, we don't put a cost factor. I always make an example and say, when I was dealing with some of the entities under mineral resources and energy, one of the things I was raising to them in terms of raising up finances and making sure that they are going concern, I said, why? Because it seems your weakness is marketing. One of the things they told me, which is something I never thought, they said, Chair, it's okay what you are talking about, but do you know that what you are talking about has got cost factor? So if you appoint a chief marketing officer, it means there must be a budget for that person. So you have to understand that at times when people take decisions, they take decisions on the basis of what they are confronted with without making a determination of the cost results that go with that decision. So for me, from a CFO point of view, he is now given a responsibility, obviously on an interim basis, of demonstrating the capacity to now provide management into the crisis that we are faced with.
Yeah. Mr. Sahlulele, let's speak about Ruyter then and that interview that he had with my colleague here on eNCA. He said quite a lot of explosive things, but, I just wonder what your thoughts are, especially as the Portfolio Committee on the Department of Mineral Resources in Parliament, because with everything that he said, by extension, he was also saying that, Parliament doesn't actually practice its oversight role on Eskom.
Look, I think for me, the sooner we dispense with Mr. Ruyter, the better. I wouldn't know what does he talk about. Let me give you a scenario. I've met myself as a chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on joint meetings. I've met Mr. Ruyter almost 3 times. You will recall at some point, I won't mention what happened, where you walked out of a meeting when we had gone to Blackout Park. And somebody said...
It's actually a few weeks ago.
Why we didn't... Yes, somebody questioned why we didn't continue with the meeting. Look now, where are we? The first time we had a direct interaction with Mr. De Ruyter, maybe people forget, and I want to address this issue that is a whistleblower. A certain Mr. Justice Gumede had raised concern about a company that they wanted as Eskom to be paid almost close to billions of rands, by the way. And that Mr. Justice Gumede's crime was refusing, that's what he said, and they never disputed that, was refusing to pay that company because it had not provided the required systems to address the issue of the steam generators at Quebec. He can answer, if he can give you that answer. What happened to Mr. Gumede? He's suspended. He's suspended, there are no charges, just for raising a concern about a matter that relates to wastage, if you want to call it, that management was falling into. Now, for me, I would say if you become a genuine person, especially at that level of just a leader on a project, who was prepared to stand up and say, why are we paying this company when it has not provided the specifications that were wanted by Quebec? Now, for me, that says a lot. And that person now is sitting at home at a high level that is being paid huge monies just for sitting at home and do nothing. Let's come to the point that you are talking about. Look, I think for me, there are two wrongs, and we should not make one wrong correct. The first thing is that Mr. De Ruyter, myself now, I'm not trying to talk, I'm not personalizing the issue. I asked him a question. I said, in the last meeting, you raised an issue about somebody who needed bodyguards because there was corruption, in the nature of corruption, that it is at Eskom. We needed bodyguards, including with the family, including a bulletproof vest. But there are rumors about you that you were poisoned. Can you share with us, because we must know? He did say, confirm, he said, yes, it is true, and the matter is with the police. When he wanted to continue, I said, let's leave it there. The question is, why didn't he has raised a number of issues of sabotage, including corruption. One thing he never raised in this committee, on the almost 5 times I met with him, obviously as committees, he has never raised an issue with regards to those ministers. But now let's deal with the situation. The reality of the situation is that he has raised it. What then becomes the role?
Yes.
We have received a letter also from one of the members of my committee. I'm consulting with the Committee on Public Enterprise, which is the lead committee where Eskom is accounting. I think for me, we cannot, whilst we must deal with how he handled this thing, I think for me, the way he handled it as a chief accounting officer, it was very clumsy. It was very, and it's worse when you put in now political statements and other things. But we can't ignore the fact that the allegations are there. The allegations that are made. And that's what myself and the other chairpersons we must discuss. Obviously, we must follow up. We must give Mr. De Ruyter an opportunity, even if it's outside, an opportunity now to share with these committees. Who is this minister? When did it happen? If he reported, did he report to the Minister of Public Enterprise? Why he didn't report to us as chairperson who are given a responsibility of oversight to say, chairpersons, you are just wasting your time. What you are dealing with here is should have just said the problem is within. So it is difficult to speak when I'm not feeling comfortable that if I speak even to yourselves, you will not cover that person.
All right. Thank you very much for speaking to us, Mr. Sahlulele, Chairperson of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources, Luzipo Sahlulele.